Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. I am so excited to see everybody joining us today. I had a couple of things in mind. This is Ray. This is Life and Vibe. You guys probably know that, but for those of you who are new to the channel, I do want to say hi. I did always want to let everybody know that I am a licensed registered nurse here in the United States, have close to 15 years of practice in the nursing arena and 10 years as a RN, or as an, I should say, and specialized primarily in cardiac nursing, oncology. I also did hospice care, and I obviously have worked with a lot of patients who have both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And so today, I just wanted to kind of take a look at the meal that Foodie Beauty had, and kind of look to see if it was a balanced meal. I then want to kind of take a look at, how would you try to potentially balance a meal as a type 2 diabetic, and how would a nutritionist or a registered dietitian or potentially your endocrinologist or anybody that you're working with, your primary care, your internal medicine, whoever your actual healthcare provider is, has potentially given you heads up how many carbs they want you to try to aim for at each meal. And often in the hospital, when we have patients who are inpatient and we are monitoring their blood sugar levels and wanting to ensure that their blood sugars are well managed, we will look to see what meals we're actually serving at the hospital. And on those menu items, we'll have listed next to it, as the RN will look and see how many carbs are given on each of these specific meals. And then we will count the number of those carbs, and might have directions in our medication administration as to how many carbs we need to cover with insulin for this patient. It's not every patient, but if it's a patient often on the hot floors who maybe needs to really make sure the diabetes, whether it's either type 1 or type 2, generally type 2, is being very well managed, we will use carb counters that way. And we will then cover insulin to make sure that they have enough when they go to eat this meal. And maybe we'll also give additional coverage based on their blood sugar numbers as well. So there's always this understanding that you will take the insulin after the meal, but in reality, when we're giving short acting insulins like Humalog, we will count the the carbohydrates ahead of time. So we're going to kind of think about a meal and carb counting. Unfortunately, we don't know from Foodie Beauty at all, because she saw the doctor that she cannot remember what their specialty is. She saw them recently, and she did not know, I think, what her diet changes should be. And when you take a medication, even like Janumet, like she's taking, uh, exercise and diet are recommended. And it doesn't mean super restrictive, but it is really a good rule of thumb to make sure that you kind of know how many carbs are going into your meal. And so we're going to kind of take a look. I have a brief idea and information here about having to plan a meal and how many grams of carbs go along with each of the different non-starchy vegetables. We're going to take a look at the meats. We're going to take a look at how you balance a plate. Some of the things that you could get choices of, like a dairy choice, a fruit choice. We're going to take a look at some starches and grains and so forth. And then we also, I thought it'd be quite interesting, also after we look at Foodie's food, there is a little bit if you want to stay along. I don't know. I don't know if you want to listen to it before or after. But there was a very interesting thing that came through, and I love my doctor's radio, but from Women's Health, and it actually kind of told you the vitamins and what types of foods go along with it. And it was from a physician who does specialize in diabetic management. So yeah, I thought we could take a little listen to that. So yeah, I just want to thank all of you who are here in the chat, all my moderators who are here. If you do like this type of content, do hit the likes, do hit the subscribes and all that good stuff. But I didn't want to necessarily go through all of Foodie's live stream that she did the cheesy beefy pasta dish from, because I think she goes into like a haul. But the first part, fortunately, is the part where she shows the meal. It does look portion control, but maybe not the right way round on the plate that we would recommend to somebody who is managing type 2 diabetes like Foodie Beauty is. So I'm hoping we get some really good information out of this. I did also want to give heads up that we are going to be having a live stream back with our favorite registered dietitian, Cheekbones. I'm going to be opening up a community tab and just saying, hey, if you have a burning question that you would like to ask the registered dietitian, it could be to do with you if you want. It's really about meals, and meal planning is something that we're kind of focusing toward. So simple meal planning ideas, that's kind of part of what we're doing. And so if you have a burning question for her, and then we're going to have her get the questions and then be able to answer those from the community that sparked her interest and we think could be beneficial to everybody out there. And we'll have a panel. So that's what the plans are. So let me thank my moderators who are here. Hey, Miss Rosebud, come on in. Miss Pat Ray is one of our mods. Miss Pat, thank you so much. Miss Brooke is here. Thank you, Brooke, for coming on in. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Who else? I make sure I'm getting everybody here. And Miss Cheekbones, there she is. Say hey, Cheekbones. You obviously hear that I'm giving everybody heads up that we're going to be having that panel and get some burning questions out there and try to get it around like making good food swaps and simple meal ideas and things that we can find really good, because I know there's a lot of people that are out walking and exercising and eating well and following up with their doctors. And that's awesome. That's the way to go. Angela Glass is here. Hey, girl, come on in. Yep, that's right. Don't forget to hit the like. It's a free way to support me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does help with the algorithm. Absolutely. And who else do I have here? Miss Bella, I know, is probably working. And I do apologize. Trying to get different times so I can obviously be here. She's so ready for it. So yeah, I'm going to actually drop the question I wanted to let everyone know today, because I know people get busy Sundays. And so I'm going to drop the question in the community tab today. And then we'll just get the questions and then we'll get ready to go with it. So I'm excited. This is the same as, oh yeah, Mrs. Muerta, this is the same old. So we're going to make it fun, okay? Because this meal did not look balanced to me. So I'm sure Cheekbones has got some thoughts on this too. And I'm sure she understands the carb counts. And then I wanted to talk about at the very end, this piece on women's health. It was actually based for women's health. It was nutrition, it's foods, and how you actually get your vitamins instead of using supplements. There was a whole thing they did about supplements too, but that's a whole different thing. So we are just, So we're not really focused on Foodie. We've got some new people we're looking at now too. Alexandra Rodriguez. So maybe we take a look at some point, like ideal diets for pregnancy or something, because I've never been pregnant and I'm old. So it's not my area of specialty, unfortunately, in medicine. And so I am interested to learn and then share that information. So it's always for me. It's not like the person is I'm trying to necessarily do. But I am interested that I see this person. She has known medical conditions, and how she's not really doing a great job managing it. Yeah, we want everyone eating healthy. Absolutely. And I just, there's a lot of questions around this cheesy, beefy pasta because I think cheese and beef were two of the things that her uh, endocrinologist, and yes, I know it's endocrinologist, advised her to not eat. And it was kind of like, I think Sansa Cooks already guessed what meals would be made because she's very, like repetitive in what she cooks. So she's not like she got a recipe book out or for God, open up a YouTube cooking video and try to recreate something new. She's or get like I've suggested, a local chef to come and show her how to make healthy prepared Mediterranean or, Arabic dishes at the home, which I would think was actually be absolutely fascinating content. Because I would love to cook that way. I love hummus and all of these things. Some of my favorite foods. So make tabbouleh. Uh, that I think would be quite nice. So yeah, yeah, hubcap plate. So, but yeah, that's not what we get. That's not what we get. And we know that. So we're going to talk about maybe what we could do to improve this cheesy beefy pasta plate. Oh, yeah, Pat. Pat Ray says, I'll pop a question or two into Cheekbones Q&A regarding pregnancy and diet in case we can get into that. Oh, yeah. I think we're going to definitely start to do that as a offshoot of Alexandra Rodriguez. I think that's always the whole sort of interesting thing that I find when I look at these folks. It's not them necessarily, but it is. But it's like, what can we just gain more? So sometimes when she does this really dull mukbang content, for me, it's a conversation around health and nutrition, which is some of my favorite topics. And so when I love to listen to that on Sirius Radio, and any chance I can get to find good information, not fad diets, just good solid information. No pasta, says Abriana Miller. Yes, there's a difficulty in how she's balanced her plate too. Yeah, and she's kind of back past the pasta, but it's not to say that if you're type 2 diabetic and you are counting your carbs correctly, shouldn't mean that you couldn't enjoy a little tiny bit of pasta and then you wouldn't feel denied. But you know how much sugar you're getting for it and you've planned for it ahead of time. And I think that's, and there's lots of information such as that isn't necessarily specifically what they call the diabetic diet, but it is a way to approach food very easily without having to become overwhelmed with all the big scientific elements of food science, which is really if you get into it, it's quite intense, and I'm sure Cheekbones could tell everybody that. So yeah, absolutely. And Pat Ray says also that focus out would be great. Right. Right. And I think that's where we could start to get to know Alexandra better, is for the people who have spotted for potential medical worries and conditions in her case. And I think that, the salad looked great for most of us, but would that be an adequate amount of protein or a balance of carbs and fats needed for somebody who was pregnant? That would always be my question. But I also know they do get food aversions, but I think that kind of period of time has maybe come to the wayside. So it's a very interesting thing. I know that the pregnancy and hormones and food is a very interesting topic. All right. So yeah, Jamie says, yep, make sure you can see all messages so you can make sure that you are being able to participate. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, let's go and take a look then at this pasta real fast. And if you want to stay and listen to the little bit, or okay, I guess, yeah, let's do that because I know people are here for that. Because I did have this very interesting thing about the food and the nutrition. So I feel like that was quite interesting that we'll get to. Okay. Let me share let me bring Foodie to the stage. There she is. She did not look specifically well. That's she I don't want to say she look keep thinking of a bowling ball pin when I see her this way. She's got a nice big thing of water here though. So I am proud of that. So she's gonna have this and she had the moderators on her chat turned on to kind of, I guess, make sure. Okay. So the food part, fortunately, is the first part, and that's the part we'll do because otherwise it's extremely long. And the whole part is just, like I said, I'm not specifically interested in that part with her. I don't know if she talks about her health. Okay, let's go.
Live chat. Can you see what I'm eating?
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Didn't see it for a second. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Pat, that's interesting that you should mention the water retention. Obviously, we see a big thing of water. I heard a really good episode. I'm trying to find it about sodium and water retention on my favorite Sirius radio. May not be available online yet because it was a very new episode. So I'm trying to find that because they do have a nutrition and exercise specific type show too. And so I love to get that. And then the women's health has some really interesting, and then obviously the psychiatry shows. So I always like to try to see where we can take a little listen over there and kind of fit that in. But yeah, that's I think Miss Pat, that was, I should bring up her thing about her face because they did talk about the need to balance the sodium intake with the fluid in order to balance everything out. And how if you're ingesting, doesn't matter what type of salt product, it could be your black Himalayan salt, is salt recognized as salt in the body. So even if you think you're kind of interrupting it by using a better quality salt, it's still the same in the body. So yeah, she's yeah. It's yeah. And then we don't know. Well, I'm hoping she'll tell us whether she used, because it looks like the beef has got a red sauce to it. So I'm curious if she added the canned tomatoes, or did she end up adding like one of her ready-made pasta sauces? I'm curious. Yeah. And then the cheese, of course, we know is one of those items that has a lot of salt hidden. It's used to preserve the cheese, obviously. Okay, let's take a look at this meal because it was not balanced probably as it should be.
Hey, Scrape Goat, Kiara, Nikki P. What's going on, guys? Hold on, I gotta reach for something. And it's a big ordeal. Water! In Arabic, it's called mai. Hi, everybody. That I missed. Gabrielle, Gemini Gem, Joanne. Hi, babe. Thank you. Albik. You're in Turkey, Eritrans. Enjoy. Where are you, Antalya?
Oh, let me stop it for a second.
Vanessa.
Thank you so much for the super chat. According to Heather, says, would you ever consider talking about congenital? Is that cardio? Myocardial? Is that? Are we talking about cardiomyopathy or? Are we talking about mitral valve, like congenital mitral valve disorders? Is that what we're talking about, or cardiomyopathy? Is that what we're referring to? Let me know real quick what the CMV. I'm thinking it's cardio. Is it cardio? Let me look real fast just to make sure I'm clear on the CMV. I mean, if you are interested in me talking about that topic, I am certainly willing to talk about it. Let me see what that. Well, I know what congenital means. Oh, okay. So this is called, okay, I have it now. It's called cytomegalovirus infection. Oh, I'm not even familiar with that. But since we are going to be talking about Alexandra Rodriguez and things to do with Alexandra Rodriguez, we certainly could start to talk about, any type of congenital things. Not saying that her baby, just as potential topics. And so, yeah, always drop in my community things like that. And let me know. Thank you so much for that chat. I'm always looking for topics around health that we can discuss. Absolutely. Obviously, it would never be treatment or diagnosis. It would always be for education and information purposes only. Thank you, though. Thank you for that. Angel Glass is saying it would be fun. Yeah, we are always looking. Yes. Okay. Thank you. We are always looking to get new topics. So we can certainly add that in. I will write that down. Let me write this down. Let me play Foodie. Let's look at this plate real fast. I'm hoping she's going to explain it. Senko, cytomegalovirus. Yes. I'm interested to learn more about that. Okay. I'm interested now. It's new to me. Like I said, I've never been a mom. So a lot of these things are new to me. I gotta write that down.
I miss you. I don't mean to. Just let me know. Amelia. Hi, Carrie and Minnie. Andre Marie. Anastasia. Barbara. Colleen. Mira. Sherry. I'm going to bring you guys closer after. I'm just eating right now. And a lot of you like to see what I'm eating. So what we have is...
Oh, she's about to explain. I was just going to let everybody know I actually do have a planner because I have a very busy day tomorrow and Wednesday. Well, not Wednesday, not so much, but Tuesday I need to take the car to get the state inspection, which tomorrow is the last day and they can fit me in an oil change. And then I need to go to the dentist tomorrow afternoon. And then I need to follow up with my other physician on Wednesday. So... and then I have everything generally when I'm well, everything is planned in the YouTube for YouTube in my planner. I have like everything laid out. And so, yeah, that's kind of where it goes. Oh, yeah, her glasses. I think she does get them on in a little bit. She's got to squint for us, guys. It's the beauty squint. Okay, she's going to explain to us what she has, and then we're going to kind of review the plate real quick. And then we'll talk about the balance of the carbohydrates. That's kind of one of the things they try to get people who are type 2 diabetics, potentially newly diagnosed, to focus on when they do these education sessions, because it is the easiest way they can start to manage those blood sugars.
I've never been to Turkey. Hi, Sherry. I've never been to Turkey yet. No. Nikki.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I made the shells, yeah. SYL. Hannah, hello. Welcome salam. You're going to Hawaii, mashallah. I do need glasses. I should go get them, but... okay. It's not a tourist area.
People say I shouldn't laugh, but how are you not finding, as a healthcare provider and the person is supposed to have prescribed glasses, that there's a higher chance that they're going to have diabetic retinopathy. They're not following, it seems, any, real true optical care, which is so important for people who are managing type 2 diabetes and even type 1 diabetes, all the diabetes, I should say, because it's gestational as well. And she's always obviously a little vain and doesn't want to put the glasses on. And she just squints the whole time, and that's not good either. So, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to point that out real fast. Let her explain the meal, and then we'll, like I said, talk about balance.
See? But that's okay. I'm going to bring you guys closer. So I made for dinner. Hi, Keisha. Baked pasta with shell. So it's with shells. This is arugula with pickles. Hi, Paul. Little doll. Welcome salam. Hello, sister. So I have some shells, ground beef sauce, and like I put cheese on it and I baked it. And I have some potato buns, a bit of butter, and that's my dinner. Thank you, Hannah. And Julia's eating her crunchies.
Okay, more cheese.
I'm gonna try to be moderate with the cheese. And we have here a huge bay leaf. So I'm gonna put that away. Julia's eating. Isabel. Thanks, Fernanda. Yeah, so bismillah. I'm gonna eat now. Let's start with a pickle. And I have ice water.
Okay. So I guess she says she's breaking her fast. I don't know. Okay. So let's take an idea of this meal. Now, she says it's a baked. Did she put more cheese on top of the cheese? Was there cheese in the meat? I mean, she didn't really describe too much about how this was made. Like, did she add some of that jarred pasta sauce with the beef, to make like a base, and then mix in the shells pre-cooked, or and then some cheese mixed into it, a bunch of the grated orange cheese. I don't know, I'm just guessing here. And then baked it. So is she putting more cheese on it with the Parmesan? I guess is my question. The arugula, I mean, that's not. And then she's obviously got the pickles, which we know is sodium. And then she's got bread, which also has sodium. And then she's probably got butter on top of that bread. Our registered dietitian Cheekbones thinks that on this plate at the moment is about 3 cups of pasta, equaling out at about 160 grams. And so what would be recommended, I see, is a third of a cup. So she needs a third of a cup of pasta. And this bowl is deep. This bowl is deep. I'm going to catch up with the chat over here. Make sure I'm keeping it in. Oh, she puts cheese in the dish along with heavy cream. Yes. And she had heavy cream in the refrigerator. She did point out the refrigerator had heavy cream. So we don't really know how much salt she's added. And we know she has pillars of that salt at the house. I don't know if she added, like I said, the jarred pasta sauce, which is fine if you know exactly how much salt are in those. I got a little bit of a jarred pasta sauce to have with some polenta, and just to make it a little bit easier. And but I'm aware how much I should have as a serving size. I think that's really, and I'm not on a sodium controlled diet, and it's probably one of the few processed sodium things I'll have, along with other fresh food items. So it's how you balance this meal, which is the whole thing, which I kind of talked about here. And this plate is not showing balance. So the potentially, we don't know too how much cheese, because the cheese itself could be one choice of the dairy is 12 grams of carbs, and that would be 1 cup of milk. And I don't know, let me take a look here if it tells me for cheese. If it were, it's not even listing cheese and I'm sure cheese falls under the carbohydrates. Probably they don't want them eating cheese. It's listing milks, soy milks, and yogurts. which we know she likes the yogurt. Oh, the fats are probably for the cheese. Sorry. Here we go. I think that's where we're going to. Oh, the cream. If it's heavy cream, 1 tablespoon is what the service. They're saying would be 1 tablespoon. That's 5 grams of fat. That's just a tablespoon of the heavy cream. And that's not all the cheese or the butter. Butter, if it was a stick of butter, which is her favorite, just a teaspoon would be 5 grams of fat for her. Sour cream, if it's regular, you get 2 tablespoons, which would be 5 grams of fat. They don't raise your blood sugar significantly, but they should be used sparingly, is what are recommended guidelines. They do help slow the rise of blood sugar after meals. But they do say, obviously to be careful. And all of the ones that she prefer fall under saturated fats too. Cheese is low. Cheekbone says cheese is low in carbohydrate. It's the salt and the fat. Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm kind of looking over here, over at these fats with especially her with the butter, which we can see clearly sitting on top of that potato roll. It would be the salt in the potato roll and the salt in that butter too, which would be not beneficial to her. There are showing to have no balance over here. So let's take a look at her meat, because the reality, her physician is not recommending that she eat a ground beef. We don't know whether it was lean or medium, or what the fat content was. Usually, though that's not going to add as a carbohydrate, they would sort of say potentially to have around 3 ounces, which would be about a deck of cards for a meal. So I don't know how many ounces is inside of that cheesy pasta bake, because it's potentially more than 3 ounces that she's eating. And she should be probably substituting it with a turkey ground if she was going to want to do the protein, or maybe even beans. Some type of bean could have been another substitute for protein, just from a different source. And obviously following what the amount of beans to carbs ratio would be. The cheese actually is what they put under meat substitutes. And so if you're eating, say, for example, a high fat, which is, the American cheese, the 1 ounce, one choice. So they're pretty much saying if you're going to do like meat and you're going to do a protein or a substitute like egg and cheese, that cheese and the egg actually falls under that 3 ounces for the meal. So it's not like you have a 3 ounce of salmon and then a 1 ounce of the cheese sprinkled on the salad, because then you actually went to 4 ounces of what would be recommended. So this is just kind of the guideline. So I think she often has way more than obviously the 3 ounces that would balance that plate out. So this, and then she's adding Parmesan on top of it. Parmesan is falling again under a meat substitute. So it falls actually under that 3 ounces of your meat, which is not counted as a carb, but would be recommended as to what you would want to have. And that is actually, you could get a 1/4 of a cup of that. But not for of cottage cheese, sorry, but for like medium fat cheeses like the mozzarella, again, you're only going to get 1 ounce. So if she sprinkled an ounce of mozzarella on there, which, she may have sprinkled slightly less than an ounce on there, it would be good to see that in a little measuring cup. Then you would know how much of that extra you were adding on. And it sounds kind of silly, but what that starts to teach you over time is portion control. And then over time, you just kind of would start to sight that. You wouldn't need to get the measuring cups out and this, that, and the other. So in reality, for the cheesy pasta bake, the bowl is deep here, as we can see. This is going down. Cheekbone said it was approximately 3 cups of pasta, which is well beyond the third of a cup recommended. And you don't have to restrict the goody white pasta. You could have, other stuff. But yeah, and then we don't know how much then meat or the extra cheese or the Parmesan that then adds on top of that. This salad obviously is not really beneficial because it's really not. This should be the size, if not even that, of the cheesy pasta bake. And this should be the size of a really good non-starchy vegetable. And you could get a cup of raw veggies, which this is not going to make a cup. And you could get a half a cup of cooked vegetable that were non-starchy vegetables. So you wouldn't want to, you could do a salad with broccoli and mushrooms and tomatoes and all different types of items, and obviously always very cautious with the dressing. You could have, if she wanted any plain yogurt, she could get a cup of that. But remember, some of these, what they're saying here, if it's milk or if it's plain yogurt, that dairy choice is 12 grams of carb. So it's not all milk cheeses are created equal as far as their carbohydrate profile. So some are considered to be carbs, which are your milks, your yogurts, your sour creams, and others are considered to be your protein sources, which would be hard cheeses, medium cheeses, your soft cheeses, those types of things. So it just really does depend on that. And then obviously eggs would come under those as meat substitutes as well, what they call the proteins. The fruit, you could grab a fruit. One orange, small, is 15 grams of carb. You could get 3/4 of a cup of blueberries. That's your 15 grams of carbs. Or a slice of watermelon could be 15 grams of carbs. So that would be how to balance. Now, some of the non-starchy vegetables, people always wonder, are things like artichoke hearts and asparagus. Got your baby corns. There's a whole different, it's your cabbage, which she said she did get, but she's going to try to pickle it, of course. Cauliflowers, carrots, eggplants, mushrooms, which I'm going to do something with mushrooms tonight, and I'm excited. You got your onions, spinaches, tomatoes, all that goody. All right. Let me get back to food.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If I make you hungry, let's try this. I don't usually like shells, but Salah and I have pasta wars because I like spaghetti. And he doesn't like spaghetti. He likes macaroni and shells. But I don't mind them. Oh, and I put cream.
So there you go, Cheekbone. She just said she put cream. And we just talked about how that's not, it's how many tablespoons of cream? Because if she doesn't know, she's eating grams and grams of fat. And we know she already potentially has difficulties with her heart. And that could just lead to more chances for atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, like plaque buildup in the heart arteries. I know it's really boring, But some of these things will actually keep people pretty healthy. Keep good blood pressure, and keep you only needing to do your preventative and checkup things with your doctors for probably quite some extended period of time if you're not having other, things that you don't have control over. Some, unfortunately, some cancers or hereditary conditions. But if you're on the whole pretty healthy, you're going to stay on the whole pretty healthy. And that's only what we can only ever wish for people is to, and it doesn't have to be super expensive, which is why we're going to get with Cheekbones, because she's going to tell you how it's not expensive to do these things. But yeah, these two eat like children. I think that's what my point was going to be. Somebody made a really good point in my comments that their diet is very childlike. It's like things that kids like to eat. And their energy levels, I think, for children are very different. They're very active. And so they are probably craving those carbs, those sugars, And then we get the craving for the salts, the sugars, because food scientists are really smart and they know how to get to us. And so it just becomes, you're eating this type of diet. This is not going to help her get fit or healthy. I mean, it can be home cooked and still not be beneficial for you. So she probably would do better with a a nice big salad that would use up a lot of those non-starchy vegetables that would fill her up, get her filled up, and then maybe add a piece of, you can steam fish so easily in the microwave and the little steamer things, and it doesn't stink the house, or do beans, or do just different things, other protein sources, and potentially get a better health profile than this. And I think a lot of people in this chat know that, which is great, and sharing ideas. But just encouraging each other, because we can all fall off the wagon on stuff when life gets busy. And so it's finding ways like that way to steam that fish in that microwave is so easy, and it's so easy to clean up afterwards, and the house doesn't smell like fish. I used to give it to all of my friends as a housewarming gift. Very simple.
A little bit of cream, a splash.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Muerta. Let me grab this. Thank you.
The bay leaf.
Mrs. Muerta, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Let me see what she says. Ray, is she losing the sugar foot to beatus? I think if she continues to have this diet where this amount of pasta is not controlled, and she's not, the whole balance of this plate is wrong. This should be all the non-starchy vegetables. This should be a deck of protein, and this bread needs to be gone. Why is she just adding this potato bread carb here? Why? So if she continues to eat this way and does not exercise, there are always potentials of people losing limbs. And it unfortunately starts with the feet, because that's the bottom of the circulation. It's the end of the circulation process. The arteries of your body end at the feet, pretty much, and then reverse it back up in the venous system. I mean, it goes all the way around, but I mean, it's like a circulatory system that goes around. It comes out the hole and starts circulating, and the feet kind of end at the bottom of it. So and then all that blood sugar, it's just pulling down there. There's just so yeah, she's got a very high risk. I'd say with her risk factor is probably higher than somebody who found out they are pre-diabetic, or have just recently found out they have type 2 diabetes and have time to reverse, in the respect of reversing the blood sugar levels. Unfortunately, once you do get the diagnosis of being diabetic, you are always a type 2. You will always, unfortunately, maintain that in your medical record and history. The only difference is is whether you become diet controlled or not. Some become diet controlled and others become medication controlled. And often we find with our older patients, because the appetite begins to decrease, they often come off of their medications, even metformin, and become what's known as diet control, because they're just not eating to get that blood sugars. But yeah, Mrs. Muerta, I think she will. And I think Cheekbones probably agrees with me. Yeah. Thank you, Angel of Glass. Yes, thank you. If you can hit the likes, I certainly do appreciate that. It gets me up the algorithm, gets people coming over and say hi. And we love that. We love that. All of you who are in the chat today, I really do appreciate you. So yeah, let's just keep going on with Foodie and tell us what health things she's got going here. My thing is too, and I've said this in a couple of my streams, is that she is probably not doing foot checks. And it's obviously you're like, oh, well, she's big, it's hard. And what they always recommend is you get a mirror, it could be an inexpensive one that you do your makeup with, whatever, and you prop it up at the end of something and you lie down and you try to look at the mirror from your lying position. So at least you can see the soles of your feet and you can see if anything looks like a lesion or a cut or a sore or anything that is starting on the bottom of those feet. So they always say that, that if you cannot, check the feet yourself, just put a mirror there and look it through the mirror and take a look and see. And that way you can take a look. So yeah, and that's a really easy way. Yeah. You can see the bottom of yours. Yeah. I mean, for many of us, that's what we are able to do. But we may not be the people who are trying to manage that. And a lot of the patients that I've had in the past, we do recommend, because if they are having diabetic neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, and you are stepping on things and you're not being good about wearing shoes in the home or an indoor shoe, which is highly recommended because you don't want to be walking around and bumping your toes like she has and not being able to see or feel, most importantly, how badly you injured yourself. And so it's a really good sort of daily plan to make sure that you're, doing those foot checks. And if you're not able to see, get the mirror, put it up against, say, even your headboard of your bed, your couch, wherever it is that you can lie and see or sit up, and put the mirror there. So you're kind of, you got the feet if you're able, and at least you can see the bottom of your feet. Yeah. That's the easiest way to do that. And it will save heartache on those feet. And then I wanted to say there was somebody else who pointed out that when she weighed herself, she said that she liked to take her abaya off because the abaya weighed so much. But if you look at the video and you look at her in the reflection of the scale, it's very clear that she's wearing the abaya the entire time, because you can see like the shape of her clothing. Doesn't look like a naked foodie in the reflection. So it's just obviously another indication that weigh-in was a little bit of a lie. Oh, not the medical office and the medical. No, this is if you look at the reflection in her bathroom one that she did supposedly recently. She's got a metallic scale and you can see very clearly the reflection, one of just 1 foot and the secondly in the buyer her clothing. And she said she weighed herself without any clothes on. So there was a detail not needed to be known, but when you look at the weigh-in, it's like, no, you clearly had clothes on. Not the first one, it's the second one. The first one actually was at the MLM Unicity event. So that was not a doctor's office. Somebody pointed out that was not a doctor's office. That was from the Unicity MLM event. So that wasn't even a doctor's office at that way in. And then somebody else said that scale probably didn't go past 150 some kilos. Anyway, yeah. So I did it. Okay. So T-Bone said I did a very basic calculation on estimated caloric diet at 350 pounds. Chantel's total cholesterol. Sorry, cholesterol. There we go. Cholesterol intake would be around 150 to 200 grams daily. This meal is around 153 grams of carbs. That's wild. Because I'm used to like, like a 40 to 45 gram carb recommendation per meal. Somewhere around there. For somebody who's a type 2 diabetic, maybe. That's wild. That's wild. Oh, wow. 153. Is that 153 grams of carb? Are you serious? That's like 3 times, almost. More than 3 times probably what would be recommended. And she might be recommended slightly less. Oh, jeez. You keep yours at 20, Angel of Glass? Okay. Well, that would make sense too. Because you could, around, 27 minus the fruit. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. I was about to say mine are probably around 20 grams of carbs too. I Yeah, you're fine. I got the abbreviation. Carbohydrates. Thank you. I got the carbohydrates, not cholesterol. Thank you. Thank you. I saw the CHO, and that might be for cholesterol. Well, we use HDL. Okay. Well, maybe total cholesterol. Sorry. For the lab results. That's fine. So sorry. It is carbs. Okay. If cholesterol or carbs, neither would be good. Oh my gosh. That's if still even 153 grams of carbohydrates, that's too much. That's almost 3 times probably. She probably have even less, but it's a lot more than she should be having. She didn't need to add that bread to the side. I mean, it's just she just added. I don't just as unnecessarily. That's your carb range as well. Is that what you do for each meal? You aim for around 20 each meal, so that would give you 60 in total in the day. That's the total carbohydrates in grams. 15 grams of carbohydrate equal 1 carbohydrate. Okay. 1 carbohydrate in a diabetic diet. Okay. So total carbohydrates in grams. Okay. So it was 153 gram meal. Okay. And that would be 15 grams of equals carbohydrates, 1 carbohydrates. Okay. Do I need to do more calcs here? Yeah, let us know. Because I know that just a third of the cup of the pasta alone is 15 grams of carbs. It's a lot. This is not going to get any of the health changes that she's hoping for at all. Oh, Stormy, the sodium is probably off the chart because we don't know if she used like the cans of tomatoes that she bought, or did she end up using the pasta sauce? Because if it's the pasta sauce, obviously it has a certain amount of sodium. And if you're serving out portions like this, you don't know how much of that sauce is in here. And then she said cream too. Why does she always put bread with her meals? Because she's a farmer. Because she eats in a restaurant. I guess it's just a Western thing to do. You know, I know that we always, I think it used to be probably, and this probably sounds terrible, but bread is a very inexpensive way to fill up a stomach. So I know when we were children, we would have in front of us, especially at my grandma's house, I want to say, or at school, they would have white bread with, they'd all been buttered slices, probably with margarine. And it would be like cut into the little triangles. And it would be on the table, just, like stacked, with bread, butter just to go. And it would fill you up. And then you would have to end up serving very little of like everything else because you're kind of full on bread. So it's a way to get kids to really fill up they make you hungry at the end of the day, but I think they fill you up quickly because they used to do that with things like Yorkshire pudding with kids in England, is to get them to eat lots of Yorkshire pudding with the gravy. That would fill you up, and then they wouldn't have to have as much of the meat and the veg and the things that actually cost money. My mom used to fill up on bread, and she came from a very poor family. Yes, exactly. It's a filler. And I think it was a lot on the table because a lot of our families came from, the Depression era. And some hot, fresh bread, man, that stuff's good. But it's definitely a very inexpensive way to fill someone up. All right, I'm munching. Let me let Foodie go.
Need some more salt, actually. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get my glasses, too.
I cannot believe she needs more salt in that. See, that's when you're starting to lose your taste buds. Because she probably has already salted that. And like I said, the cheese and everything that she's added into that has a huge amount of salt in it. There's plenty of salt in that food, girl. And the fact that she wants to go get more salt, that's very concerning. Girl. And then the salt, obviously the hidden salt in the butter, the bread. Let's see how she moves. Oh, she's stuck. That's her with no microphone. That's what they say, Shelley, that people who smoke lose their sense of taste. Absolutely. Your mum made dumplings with stew. Oh, my mum did too. Absolutely, right on the top. I probably still think I still love to put some dumplings on top of some of those winter dishes in the crock pot. Don't get me wrong. I had a vegan recipe, I think, for it. They are pretty good. Okay, let me find out. Let me speed this up since Foodie just literally disappeared on her audience. Okay, she's back. There we go.
The laundry basket. Okay. Now, I didn't put any salt on this. Hardly. But now I need it.
Oh. More cheese.
Yeah. I know I said I was going to be careful with the cheese, but there we go. Okay. These are going to fog up. Thank you, Colleen. Fettuccine and penne. Boulevard. Amanda, welcome salam. I think it needs gravy. Yeah, for sure. Can always use. It looks a bit dry, I know. But it's not because I baked it, so the noodles kind of absorb a lot of the sauce.
I know. I'm trying to find the episode about the sodium because there was a doctor talking about it. And so I just always want to just always bring that conversation out. And they talked a lot about the hidden sodium and stuff. And I can't find that episode, but I'm looking for it. Like I said, I don't know if they've released it yet onto the online portion of Sirius. So I'm looking out for it and I'll share it. But yeah, that was pretty insane. Obviously there was it wasn't a sprinkle of salt. She put that was a fair amount of salt she sprinkled on it. I mean, it's not like she put it in a palm. and pinched it on, which, you know, should be sufficient. That's very bad for the blood pressure. It puts a lot of work on the heart muscle. And that's why I want to bring up this episode, because I talk about how that sodium puts more work to the heart too, trying to get that balance. That it does affect the blood pressure as the volume also increases, because you're holding the water. It's going to increase your blood volume too. That blood volume increase, it's actually going to increase the blood pressure. And just like you get a blood pressure decrease when you become dehydrated, and a heart rate increase because it's got to try to keep the heart going, with the blood pressure this way, you could have potentially also a fast heart rate along with a high blood pressure. And once, if you get the heart rate to slow, that's a means that your heart is getting potentially more thickened and you're having other issues or valvular issues. Anyway, all right, keep going, Foodie.
So much better. These are gonna fog up. Let me cool off first.
I don't know how. Well, I know how. Oh, that's not a good look. Oh dear. We're actually seeing some of the hairline here. Ooh, she's just very red. I mean, we've talked about the face mask, you know, the CPAP here. It's looking even more apparent now where the CPAP sits, not fitting her well, because probably what I'm thinking is the straps need to be adjusted, or something needs to be adjusted, because she's gained more weight since that mask was fitted. And in if anybody works in healthcare, you will know they tell you when you're getting your N95 masks fitted that if you have any weight gain or weight loss, which is also why they have you have them measured and fitted in occupational health every couple of years, is it will change the size of the mask you will need. And it will change the size of everything. So I'm thinking potentially her mask is getting too small. The straps are too small. It's too tight and snug on her face. And it's then causing her to get a lot of blood pulling actually around the device itself as she sleeps. And it's causing just really bad redness around here now. And I think this is what's starting, because it's now coming into the chin area. So I'm seeing just this. So I think it pulls, and she's just getting very reddened through here. And then obviously whatever blood, heart issues are kind of exacerbating that. She does not need to eat all of this. This is still, I mean, she probably feels like this is her portion controlling, but it isn't, because she's not getting enough of the non-starchies in that could satiate. I know everyone hates that word, but give her food up enough. All right, keep going, Chantel. You look terrible.
So, thank you, Joanne. My thing is not.
Yes,
working,
exactly. That's right. Yes, somebody. Thank you, Pat Ray, for mentioning it, Kristen. Because yes, she had mentioned that. Because I don't usually, you know, but now I think about it with the fitting of our masks as healthcare professionals, and how we have to be sized. And they used to always say, if you know, have a big weight gain or a big weight loss, you've got to come and get those N95s refitted. That I'm thinking that this is just showing that, yeah. And it's starting to cause, I mean, she probably has rosacea here, but this is starting to cause like some damage here. And your skin changes when you get into your 40s and stuff. So, you know, if she's having any flashes and stuff, I know I got some little vein breakouts on my cheeks when I was going through menopause that I hate. I've tried to correct it with laser, but I was getting it corrected with laser, and then I'd have another flash. It was like a never-ending battle.
Yeah, I made this.
Thank you, Cheekbones.
Not
Let
long
me
ago
show this.
for dinner.
She probably has something
For
important to
breakfast,
share. Hold on. She's so unhappy. What is your opinion on salt substitute? Potassium chloride, not Mrs. Dash. My only concern with the use of potassium chloride is potassium is if you have any type of heart issues, we do not recommend it because potassium can actually, if you have too much of it, can cause cardiac arrhythmias such as atrial fibrillation and also the other one. There's AFib and the one with the soul shape. There's another atrial rhythm that I'm thinking of. Sorry, it just flew out the window. It will come back to me. But it goes into like electrical changes. So I always recommend steering clear of the salt substitutes because of the potassium. And people, potassium is not something that you really want to mess with the regulation of that just because of those propensities to cardiac arrhythmias. So it's always a big no for me. That's why Mrs. Dash, that it's probably a good one. Pepper's a good one. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about it? That's kind of what I have always been told, to keep away from it. I've always advised personally, I've advised always against it. Yeah. I advise against them. Okay, so you are like me on that with that too, Cheekbones, in regards to the concern of potassium, because people don't know how to dose. Look what we just saw Chantal do. She just threw all the salt on top of the food without really even putting it in the palm and just picking up, what would be a dash and dashing it. Mrs. Dash has some really good flavors that you could add a little, red chili flake if you like that, pepper if you like the pepper sides. There's so many other ways with herbs and spices to flavor foods away from salt, because what people are craving is flavor, and salt is what they are used to having. But yeah, Cheekbone says, I saw a cardiologist on YouTube telling people to use them. I freaked out. It's a hard no for you. Yeah, I'm surprised a cardiologist would recommend that, because every cardiologist I've ever worked for and with has said that's a hard pass no from them. That's what I've always understood. And that's why it's even, because especially if you have any type of arrhythmic like disorders, like you've ever been into AFib or, God, I need to know the other one. It's going to kill me. I can't believe I feel like the dumbest cardiac nurse when you have that moment. I'm gonna have to look it up. Let me play Foodie and I'm gonna look it up. They're gonna kill me. Let me get better connection here.
Just little breakfast things like bread, mac douche, cheese. My day's been okay.
Atrial flutter. I can't believe I forgot that. So, when you're having one of those days, it's obviously mine. It's Monday. But yeah, atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter. I think it's because I saw more people in AFib. So yeah. One of my friends actually has just been having supraventricular tachycardia and is having to have an ablation in her 40s. And she works as a cardiac nurse practitioner. So yeah, it can happen to people who exercise. That's why. But she has had some things that she's been doing lately, but she's kind of lifelong had that issue. So hers might be more congenital.
I'm still recovering from that shit was brutal on my body.
I hope nobody's going into VFib around here, because then we're close to death. that would be a very scary rhythm to get into. Those ventricular fibrillations, those yeah. No, I'm thinking a little less down the grade. I mean, still a dangerous rhythm, don't get me wrong. But potassium plays a very large part with some of those dysrhythmias, because there's a lot to do with your like potassium channels. There's a lot with the cardiac muscle that rely on these, which is why potassium is often prescribed. Because you don't want people just to have large quantities of potassium, which is why I'm always surprised with the salt substitutes. Because yeah, I wouldn't recommend them. I think there's other ways to do it. Not with potassium.
I'm sure it's like hard to do for an average
Oh,
person that's doesn't have all the health issues I have, you know.
oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah, Dr. Oz got bought basically. He used to take his way too much. He actually had to go in front of the some political, I can't remember, it was Senate or the Congress or something about it. Those green tea supplements or the coffee bean supplements or whatever he was raging and raving on about. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame because I think he actually was probably at one point a decent practicing cardiologist, but money will do some wild things to people. Just saying.
I made it. I'm good about, you know. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Oh.
Walaikum salam, Momoki. Thank you. It's very good. Oh, hot.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather.
I had a very young patient that I worked with in cardiac rehab who we were able to get her with a diagnosis of POTS, which is posterior orthostatic tachycardic syndrome for those unfamiliar. And it often affects young women. And it's very hard because often they'll be told they're just anxious, so on and so forth. But it can run in families. And it's one of these ones where you're actually told you don't have enough sodium in your diet and you need to take more. It's wild when you see a 20-year-old, just their heart racing and stuff, and they're super thin and active. This young lady was in the military, and we were, like I said, able to finally get the military to recognize that was what she had. She didn't always have a great time because she kind of got put on more desk duty type stuff, but she was able to sort of maintain in the military, which she was concerned she wasn't going to be able to do. But yeah, it's definitely, I think more people are becoming aware of it. But yeah, I hope you're being able to manage it well. And it's probably Foodie probably still taking in more sodium.
My skin is red right now. Yeah, it's a meat sauce with ground beef. Yeah. I love arugula. Vanessa with the emojis.
Oh yeah, the sort of situation with this young lady too, and I don't really want to give too much away, obviously, because she was a patient of mine, obviously no longer, and she did the full cardiac rehab with me, and I was able to help her navigate the healthcare system, get her to get a doctor outside of the military to help her start to get a diagnosis. And then she was able to get back to the military and see a female who was kind of heading up the medical and get this diagnosis in because the male doctor in the military had said it was anxiety. So it's so important, even for us females who work in the healthcare industry, to help other women get their voices heard and help to advocate sometimes, even if you don't play the role of navigator. It's so important because I think it does happen, especially for young women. And so I really did try to help as many young women and help young women through this. It's part of the reason why I want to have this channel too, and for young men too, who don't feel that they're getting heard. Also try to give medical just information based on evidence, you know. So I hope everyone's doing well out there. I'm glad everyone's advocating for themselves. It's very important. I have to advocate even for myself too, as a healthcare professional in the healthcare system.
Where's Kona, Gabrielle? Never heard of that.
Oh, well, that's good. Oh, I'm glad you've had that experience. I've had wonderful male doctors too. So it's just always about advocating and having your voice heard. And for some women, especially for the military, that may be more difficult than at other times. But I think we're getting more younger doctors in now, and there's a definite change in that. But there's also evidence to show that sometimes female doctors do get better patient results. So it's always interesting.
I didn't feel like editing another video, so. Hawaii. Thanks, Heather. I'm doing okay.
Oh, how's June? Junebug is sleeping on the chair at the moment, and she wants to go outside and take a walk. So once we get finished with Foodie's meal, and listen a little bit with the nutrition fix, we're going to enjoy this beautiful day because we went to being in the 50s last week to being up here in the 70s, 80s. I mean, Virginia weather is wild.
Thank you. Don't ask me. That's nice of you. I wish you the same. Julia? It is very yummy. The shells are bigger than I thought. Like, they don't look big in the package, and then when you cook them, they like bloat up, you know? So
I cannot believe for all the pasta meals that Foodie has cooked, she's acting now like she can't believe that the pasta shells get this big after they've been hydrated in water. She knows. This is so much. This is so much food. I know for somebody like Foodie, this is probably, like I said, a restricted portion. And she's probably still going to eat more after she gets off camera for sure. But this is, you know, for the majority. And like I said, this is deep. This bowl is deep. This isn't a little layer. It's a lot of food, actually. But she seems disappointed, like she need more. That's what I'm sensing.
let's go out driving.
Oh, yes.
Busy right now, but we will.
Yes, to all those in Oklahoma and Nebraska and Iowa who are still having the effects of the tornadoes, we just all wish you all the best. I still hear that it is still a little bit treacherous out there. So just safety, everybody. Safety first.
We will go out around. I'm just like getting settled back in. It takes me longer than probably most people. Seriously, I'm so tired all the time. Like right now I'm okay, but I need to reset my like circadian rhythm if I even ever had one. I don't know. But yeah, I have to.
I don't think this meal is going to help you pick up any energy either, Foodie. This is going to make you feel more sluggish. Your body is going to have to process all of this carbohydrate. And then you already, we know, where have you last checked a blood sugar? Except at the hospital in Canada. It's like the glucometer completely disappeared, which is something that I don't think is advisable for her. And this is all gonna be if she feels tired after this meal and goes and lays down, this is I can't think about the blood sugar because she's not going to then convert any of it to need for energy. She already probably has very compromised insulin release from her pancreas. Her pancreas is probably becoming more and more insulin resistant over time. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, now she's going to have this carbohydrate become blood sugar. It's going to be sugar in the blood. And if you don't need to use that in the cells for energy, and you don't even have sufficient insulin to come down and open up the cells to bring in that blood sugar, to bring it inside of the cell in order to convert it into energy in the muscles, in the organs, wherever you're needing that energy to be used in the body, it's just going to start to build up in the bloodstream, the blood sugar. Blood sugar are very large molecules that then starts to cause damage inside all the veins. And then over time, that's what starts to cause things like peripheral neuropathy and then diabetic neuropathy. And then the cascade, the dyslipidemia, it's a lot. All for a plate of pasta with cheese. I'm just saying. And I don't think it's jet lag at this point because it's been a few days since she's been back. So you should be having, kind of recovered from that then, if you're feeling healthy.
Like, get used to everything again. And finally have everything unpacked though and put away, which is good. At least. But the time difference is like so weird for me with you guys. Like, you guys, it's going to be like weird timing for my live streams now again. Yeah, exactly, Monarchy.
Hey, Eloise. I saw you sent me an email, so I'm going to get up with that today. So I apologize. I'm finally getting back into my groove today.
Energy egg.
But I did see you emailed.
Pizza or pasta? Pasta. What about you guys? Congrats, Energy Egg. No, I just eat the arugula just like that. Because when I first came to Kuwait, I was like, how do you guys eat bitter greens, like with everything, with no dressing? You know?
I don't think if you cut that arugula up, it would really flatten into a cup of vegetables. I mean, things like these lettuce, they're great for digestion because they've got lots of fiber. So they're wonderful for digestion. That's why a lot of times, a lot of cultures, you might even eat the salad after the meal because for digestion, they're great. They're going to give you lots of really good fiber. And they do carry some really good minerals and things in them as well and different things. But that's not really a vegetable like that. She needed to add some broccoli. I know the broccoli, or like I said, even she likes some mushrooms. Just something in there, girl. But she bought so little. We don't even see frozen vegetables here. She didn't even think to do, you know what? Let me just do half a cup of those frozen veggies on the side of this already ridiculous portion of pasta. And look at the meat in there. Now there's ounces of meat in there. Ground beef, too. Good Lord. Girl, your kidneys.
Don't cry.
Yeah, the platter's great.
Why do attention 24/7? You miss me, huh? And
right, exactly. It's a garnish. It's not a serving of vegetables. The only thing, like I said, it's going to do is help you digest the food because it's fiber. It's going to be a binder. I'll just leave it that way. That's what the lettuces and stuff are good for. Fiber, a little bit of fiber, a little bulk, but you need the vegetable to go with that. That's not the vegetable. And so she thinks this is her green. It's not. It's terrible. Yeah. So she just basically ate no vegetables because the pickle's not going to count. So this is what she had. Just everything that her diabetic doctor would have not recommended. It's ground beef, it's white pasta and a huge amount of it, and cheese with salt thrown on top. That's what she with pasta sauce, which probably was the ready-made one. I don't see how she's going to get better. She's just not. Okay. I wanted to share. The bread. Oh, the bread. Yes, the bread.
Yeah. You just get used to it. You get used to it, you know? And then you start craving it. It's weird.
I'll keep playing.
Yeah, you get used to it and you start craving the bitterness. Like, it complements.
Sorry, Desiree. Did they say which type of vegetables? You just ate too many? See, there is such a thing as having too much of a good thing as well. It's probably a lot of just the minerals, and it's a lot. I mean, and that's why I wanted to play this last little bit from the nutrition show afterwards, because your body, your kidneys, they still have to metabolize these different vitamins, minerals, whatever, even through your food. And why supplements can become so dangerous. I heard that these protein powders aren't much of anything either. From a nutritionist. Oh, he got calcium stones. Oh, okay. Interesting. I would be curious, was he eating a lot of the green leafies? Because I believe they can carry calcium in certain vegetables. So, like I said, you do have to be careful because there are a certain amount of, minerals and vitamins and things that are included. Not necessarily in this. She killed that.
The meal. I don't know energy. Hi, Jessica.
She don't add veggies.
You're keeping me company while I tan by the pool.
Yeah, that's
awesome,
right.
Enjoy your tan.
The leafy greens. Yes, that's what I was suspecting. It's the leafy greens, and they're good too. But that's why even for those, even though they may take up the larger part of the plate, there is still a portion control for that as well. And because everything has something that the body is going to need to metabolize through the kidneys and potentially the liver too. So we always want to be protective of the big metabolizing organs. And it's not going to be through a detox. There's teas. None of that stuff is really true. Which is why we want to be careful with people sort of self-supplementing sometimes, because it could be more harm than good. Better through food.
I was on a tanning kick at one point, like as a teenager.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Come. But it just never worked out for me. I just burn. And then I look weird. So I don't know why bother. Boy. She wants in Harry's room. She's not going there. Hey, Jessica.
Right.
Oh, I already.
Oh.
Before it turns into a summer, really? These pickles are the best.
And like I said, right after she finishes up the meal, we're not going to worry with much else. We're going to take a listen to these folks that specialize, doctors, women health, nutrition, talking about which foods are going to give us vitamins and minerals. Just to kind of continue this conversation by coincidence. Because this was not going to give her a lot of nutrition in this meal. It was very lacking. And actually, people who even could eat very high calorie dense meals, such as this, can end up often being, deficient in certain minerals, and because they're not really eating balanced diets. This would not be considered balanced at all. After this foodie, I'm gonna have to eat some balanced diet after. Well, I'm gonna have to take my dog out because she's gonna have a revolt.
What are you doing? Come on. Where are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to say hi?
Oh, yeah. Her level of exhaustion, because the meal is not going to provide her with the right nutrients for energy, she's going to feel exhausted. Absolutely. And then she's going to do less exercise, causing, it does become kind of a cyclical thing. Food is so much more than just trying to feel full in the stomach. It's so much more beyond that. It's not to make it too complex, but I think, you know, things that are more things that we could recognize as being actual, from the earth in some ways, are probably, better for us. This is a lot of processed food here, really.
Huh. Say hi to the people. Tell them you're beating today.
No, she's got no.
Yes, you are.
This is the slow release energy.
You're
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, that poor cat. That poor cat.
That's what you get for beezing. We're eating the same food. Vanessa, the mom corner. Hi, mom corner. What's my plans for the week? Oh, too many. Marianne, if I do them, that's another story. I figured that out a long time ago, but if you can plan all you want, but actually executing those plans is a different story.
Well, it depends what you're planning. I can't not get my car inspected tomorrow. So I will definitely plan to be at the dealership tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. and getting my oil change and filter, which is included in my car payment plan. So I've got to get all that done. And then I plan to be at the dentist tomorrow afternoon at 3:30. And then I plan to follow up with my doctor because I might have to get more antibiotics on Wednesday. So I don't know, and it's written in my planner. And I plan to probably go live tomorrow too, and I plan to put out a community post about cheekbones questions. And I plan to take my dog for a walk. I don't know why it's so hard for you, Foodie. I think for most people here, that don't make sense, girl. I'm just saying. All you have to plan is to try to get on camera. That's it. I mean, you need to plan some exercise, but we know that's girl, we know. But didn't she have a planner? Lazy. Lazy. It's called lazy.
She's so fluffy, yeah. Where's Pudding? Thank you, Mom Corner.
Thank you, Eloise. Let me point this out because I actually, because I do take supplements based on what my doctor has told me to take. So, and mine have been vitamin D, because most of us after 40 as females and males, we tend to get lower. But yes, as Eloise says, I don't recommend any multivitamins unless working with a and Eloise is a pharmacist, by the way, with a doctor or a dietitian. If there are issues with diet or malabsorption, only one I recommend is vitamin D, which is what I just said, if you live in places that lack sun. And I think they do have, like, recently I saw like something that breaks it down to age and the amount you should approximately take. Like if you're 40, you should be taking about this amount. And if you're, because it is going to help protect with your immune system. And most of us, if we are working indoors, or even if we do get a chance to get outdoors, we do absorb it differently as we age, needing larger quantities to get the sort of same bang for the buck. But it's always good to be following with somebody. I wish I had been thinking about my I had been told by a doctor too, but even I was a stubborn person about it. And I finally realized that no, it's just better. I actually found a gummy that has 0 sugar. So that's like the one I like to use. And it was vegan. So that was something for me because it's really hard to find pills in the US that don't have gelatin in them. So I had a struggle finding a plant-based version, but I finally did. So yeah, I have bees, and then B12. Yeah, that's me too, but I'm on the same. I'm on the high dose vitamin D, and I'm on B12, like a mix, B12, B6. Yeah. And Louise says, can I mention I've done a video on vitamin D and calcium? Absolutely. If you want to go and check out Eloise's channel, she's done a video on vitamin D and calcium. So I would recommend go pop over at her channel and go take a peek see at that. And she and I are planning on doing something together too. So yeah, absolutely. I'm not yeah. Yes, absolutely. I always say just make sure that your medical team knows and you're getting the levels checked because you don't want to put extra work on your kidneys or your liver. Kidneys specifically. Liver potentially too, depending. But yeah, you sub to Eloise. Excellent. Yeah, go do that. What's her channel? I don't know if I can put that in the chat. But if Angel of Glass or one of my mods wants to put a link to Eloise's channel for me in the links there, I would appreciate it. So I'll ask the mods to put a link in there for you. I think that's allowed with YouTube's terms of service. Okay.
Yeah. If you ever tell me you do nothing, yeah, it's on purpose. Most of the time. There's always things to be done, in life.
Thank you, Angel of Glass. So Angel of Glass has put the link there for anybody who would like to take a look at that video. Highly recommend it. I'm going to check it out myself.
Thank you. So I'll eat this. And then I'll probably eat dessert, which will be like a flavored yogurt.
Sam, I would ask the pharmacist who you get your medications from what they would suggest. The pharmacist where you get your medications will be able to let you know if any of those have any interactions with a vitamin D supplement. I shouldn't think so, but just double check with them.
V is here. Hello, thank you. I hope you have a blessed day too. We're going to be posting this very soon, Jessica, on the couples channel. I don't get homesick for Canada. Well, maybe in a little while I will, but I miss my family already.
Girl.
No, I don't get bored a long time. I love it.
I like that.
Tin Ash, unblock my fluff puff up. Yeah. If you want me to unblock you, you have to send me a link to your channel somehow. Because my block list is like 1 million pages long.
Oh my goodness. This is the trick that Foodie plays. Okay, she's almost finishing up the meal, and we're going to listen to these folks from Sirius Radio. We're going to wrap it up, guys. But this is the trick that Foodie plays with her members, which is really awful, is that she blocks people, and then they end up, and then she doesn't know how, she always says she doesn't know how to unblock them, which I have no idea, but that's probably a lie. And so she has so many people that she's blocked, which is also terrible. And they end up resubscribing to her channel memberships, and hers are not cheap. I think her basic level is like $4.99 a month. Wild to me. So she then gets 2 memberships somehow going on. It's a known little ploy con that she plays. And I don't know how she just gets away with so many bad things.
I'm slipping down.
Yes.
I moved to Tennessee from California and I miss it.
Excellent.
That's normal.
Maybe we'll get
That's
all
the
three
thing.
of us on a panel if I
You
can
know,
get my.
you miss your home always in a way.
Maybe we get everyone on a panel one day if I can get enough computer power over here. I think it gets better. It depends if the jets come over. I got my new, like, brand new, like, modem wireless built in one thing going, and it seems to be a much better connection.
But I think eventually Tennessee will feel like home.
I think there's so many interesting things about genetics and genomics too, that can teach us so much. I mean, it says that a lot of us are actually pretty lactose intolerant as we get older. So I'm so glad that you got that taken care of and that they were able to help you with stuff. I think there's going to be more things that we're going to be able to learn through, like I said, genomics too, which is quite fascinating about populations and different hereditary and different factors. It's very interesting. And I think it gives us a chance. Hey, Veronica, come on in. I think it gives us a chance to be able to really understand how the human body works and how we even work individualistically and genetically. It is fascinating. You can really get into the weeds with that, but I'm glad that's been able to help you and been able to give you recommendations for diets, because they're all things certain things that certain things like vegetables, we certainly should benefit from cooking them more than eating them raw and so forth. It's interesting. She's almost taken out this whole entire. I didn't think she was going to take all that pasta down. I knew it looked like. I can't believe it's like a whole serving platter too, just distorting even the portion size. Worse. People laugh at me because I still have those old school. It's the classic Corningware, like from the 1960s, I think. It's like the real classic Corningware. I got the whole set and I love it. And the plates are decent size. They never chip or break. And they're not huge. So the portion I put on my plate is correct. Like a serving platter.
Jessica, he's out taking care of some business right now, so that's why he's probably not in the chat a lot. Thanks, Miss V.
Okay.
Carolina.
Okay. She has a $2.99 tier.
That's nice of you to say.
Oh, she has a $2.99 tier too. Okay, that's not too bad, but still trying to block people and then them trying to rejoin. That's just tricky to me. $2.99 still seems high to me too, on the first level for me. You love your corning. Somebody says they love their corning wear. Me too.
I try not to let things emotionally affect me in a negative way anymore, and I just kind of deal with what I can control in my life, and the rest I just kind of leave it up to God, you know?
I have one of the biggest sets of Corningware I think I've ever. I don't have any of the bake the oven stuff. My mother used to have those, but I have probably 12 plates. I don't have any bowls, platters, big salad bowls, serving bowls, little bowls, dessert bowl, you name it. Oh my goodness, I have a ton. A little gravy boat thing. I have an impressive set. I inherited it too. And I will have it probably until they'll find it in my home with me gone. I love it. No need to replace.
Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah, I would never give away my Corningware.
Oh, nice, Vanessa. I didn't know that about your dad. Cool. Victoria, dysphoria. I need my glasses. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. There we go. It's 8:33. Well, yeah, it is comfy for that. Corey Hunt, I love your cat.
We're just waiting for her to finish this out, and then we're going to listen to this thing about different foods and nutrition real quick. And we'll finish it out for the day. And I'm just so appreciative. If you have been enjoying this and the conversation and some of the information we've been sharing, always appreciate a like because that helps me up the algorithm, gets more people to the channel, and gets us to continue having these great conversations, which I find really fascinating. My friends will tell you, I've always been fascinated about food and health, even before it was a topic of fashionable conversation in the 80s and I was young. I just always, inherently being an athlete and a runner, I just always kind of, I think, instinctively understood a connection between eating really good food and being able to have energy and be active. So I just always kind of naturally navigated and gravitated towards that type of food.
Thank you. Thanks, Mom Corner. Hey, Kim Richards. The cheese is like... Hold on, let me fix this.
Oh, gosh. Why?
When I don't put an undercap on, it slips and slides. I forgot to.
You were a health class nut.
Julia. Hey.
Yes, pharmacists are unsung heroes. They're my favorite. I promise you, one of my favorite resources at the hospital have always been my pharmacists as an inpatient RN. A lot of information. And I always have recommended my patients when they've had medication questions, talk to the pharmacist. Absolutely have that relationship with the pharmacist, which is why it used to upset me that my grandmother would always just look for wherever the least expensive medications. I understood because she was here, she was in the States, she had Medicare, she needed to watch her money, she didn't have a lot of money. And so I understood from a monetary standpoint why my grandmother pharmacy shopped for her drugs. But it also concerned me because it wasn't one pharmacist who was seeing all the different medications coming in from the different doctors and double checking for interactions. So it is really good to have the pharmacy that you like and that you trust and to build that relationship, especially if you are taking multiple medications. And I understand that a lot of people use mail-in services. So it's even good to make sure that you do get the numbers and, talk to people there. I've had very good conversations, even a very caring pharmacy team, actually, with one of those mail-in services that I had for my work. And I was actually pleasantly and happily surprised and a little embarrassed actually about how just great they were. So you'll find just a really caring group of individuals. So definitely tap into that resource. And even your doctors will support that for you. They should. That's my advice. Oh God, yeah.
When you got home. Yeah.
Oh God, and of course it just slides right under the table there. Yeah, the way she has been touching the abaya is ridiculous. Okay, let's get rid of her now. We're gonna go listen to this stuff over at the Sirius because we're done with Foodie. I don't have anything else to say about that meal. Anything she shows me, I'm not interested past that point. All right, let's just listen to this stuff because this I thought was, I'm just going to share this real fast. It was a recent episode that talked about nutrition, vitamins, and supplements. We're starting from a place where they're, like I said, talking about foods that you could eat and what vitamins and minerals or vitamins, if you're here in the States, you would be getting from that food. And we're just going to take a quick little listen to that. And then I'm just going to say thank you guys so much and just hope you all gain something from it. Trying to think. Like I said, I'm going to put out the question for cheekbones, burning questions. I'm going to give her a chance to look at it so we can set up a day, maybe start in May. I'll find out what day works for her, and which I know will be very, very soon because she's eager to do it. And I'll think of what we'll be doing tomorrow that could be beneficial. Maybe trying to see if old Miss Glitters, but Alexandra, she's got vlogs, so I always just want to check for copyright before I get her out there. Eloise says, I do worry about private internet medication. Oh yeah. No, this wasn't private, the one I was referring to. This was the pharmacy plan through my employer sponsored. So it was I was being prescribed vitamin D, believe it or not, as a long-term medication. And so they said through my work I wasn't able to get a prescription through the Walmart anymore. I had to go to get this through the service through my mail, through the mail service. That was what was covered by insurance here in the US. And so I called because I wanted to see if it had any gelatin in the tablet, because I'm a vegan or plant-based, and they couldn't find me any equivalent. So anyway, but it's a long thing. I don't want to bore people. But anyway, they ended up being super nice and calling me back, the pharmacist, for this like big mail company. So it's not the same as like ordering it via the internet, like Canadian pharmacies or whatever, which probably, yeah, I would be very dubious. These are these very large plans through mail order here in the States, and they're very common here with insurance plans. They use them a lot of these mail ones, which is why people don't want mail services to get interrupted here, because a lot of people rely on obviously the mail to bring their medications to them. Yeah, it's a whole different world. All right, let's listen to these smart ladies and this little bit about food and nutrition just to finish up and see how we could have balanced this plate out better. And then I'm going to wish everybody a beautiful Monday afternoon. Junebug and I are going to go out and get our steps.
Regulated by the FDA. So I'm not saying this to scare people or patients, but I do want you to be aware and to make better choices through your diet or by selecting vitamins from reputable brands or who have undergone third-party testing. So they're not regulated by the FDA.
So just to kind of follow up with what the doctors were discussing as we get into these items of food, is that what they were, this is kind of bouncing off the conversation we were just having, is that, and Eloise was saying too, is that here in the United States, many of these dietary supplements, and that's what they are, dietary supplements, one of the reasons why they get charged all these crazy prices or make all these miraculous claims often is that they aren't regulated by the Food and Drug Administration or the FDA. And so it gives them a chance to not have the same quality control factors that, say, a drug, such as, say, even a simple beta blocker like metoprolol, would have had to have gone through with the FDA to have it part of the scheduled list of approved drugs. And so they can have not even what is being claimed in the ingredients or even to the levels they're saying, which is why often if you're being told that you do need to take vitamin D and you have a health plan that's covering it as a tablet, it's better to sometimes get it through that, because at least you're getting a pharmaceutical grade dose of that medication, comparatively to, say, if you were just pulling it off the shelf and it wasn't, say, a reputable brand. Why a lot of those multi-level marketing products and all of those different types of things really can be quite questionable, because they can be proprietary blends where they don't really know the amount of each of the different vitamins and minerals really in each of the products. So just always a great deal of caution. So that's what they're talking about. But they're always, as we say, we encourage it to be, as much as you can through your actual diet. So let's continue.
Yet we're all taking them. Is that safe? Is that okay? It depends on what it is. It's so important because I feel like almost everybody that I speak to is taking at least 1 or 2. Some people are taking 5 or 10. Often I get people literally with a bag and they just come in with all of their supplements and vitamins for me to go over them. You don't need a whole lot unless a doctor or health practitioner has told you you are deficient in X, Y, or Z. You need to replete your low stores. This is what you need to take. Or if a healthcare professional recommended some sort of supplement that is relevant to you, that, has some evidence to it, some science backed evidence that it can help with your condition. I'm thinking along the lines of something like fish oil for cholesterol, if that's been recommended for you. But often I'm finding that people are just coming in with taking all of these supplements, and you really do need to ask because they may be interacting together. You may be taking them incorrectly. You may be taking the incorrect dose, taking them at the wrong time. You may be doing more harm than good. So that's something really important.
So obviously I stopped just to make sure I get fair use. I've been very fortunate that never been copyright struck for using Doctors Radio. And I do love the information. If any of you do have access to SiriusXM, I strongly encourage listening to the Doctors Radio because they just have great conversations. If you find, especially around nutrition, health, women's health, this was the women's health show. But yeah, just as we were saying, and Ella Louise was saying, that you could actually do more harm than good. It's such an important thing. I think it's something I, on this channel, really do want to continue to talk about because there's so many content creators and influencers, especially in the health and fitness space, that really sell and make a lot of money from people selling these types of products, and they could be potentially doing their audience members more harm than good, and 2, not really giving good advice. I mean, it's really, and I mean, it's money grabs at the end of the day when they don't have the professional licensure to be prescribing something of that nature. There's a lot more into it than just like, oh, let me just start taking multi gummies like we saw Miss Chantel do recently.
To take note of. And, if we are going to take a supplement, if it's been recommended for you by a healthcare professional, again, it's not FDA regulated. So what I advise is that you try to find a supplement that's undergone third-party testing. And
I've unfortunately am not sponsored by SiriusXM. But I don't pay much for the subscription that I get with the Doctors Radio. I get it on my laptop, on my phone as an app, and I get it in the car. And it's not even, I think, $7 a month. And there's so many good radios. So throughout the day, I can actually cast it onto the TV or have it on the TV. So I can actually play it as a radio station on my TV. And I just love this particular channel. So for me, I literally get it for this channel. And they are coming out of NYU Lincoln, which is one of the best hospitals here in the US. One of the best hospitals. So yeah.
basically what that means is
Highly
the
recommend.
supplement
I wish I was sponsored.
has been undergone some extensive testing by a third-party agency. And there's a few of them that are out there. The consumerlab.com, NSF International, or US Pharmacopoeia. And basically they're looking for, is this supplement pure? Does it have the actual dosage? Does it have any mold? Does it have any lead? And if it passes those regulations.
Mold and lead. Go figure. And they have been found. And recently, I understand there was a creator in the anti-ML space, because I donated to the lab testing of a Prove It ketone product that had some heavy metal sources in it. It was a low amount, but it had heavy metals. And so you just always want to be so cautious. It really is, buyer beware, and it really is potentially not a great use of your money. So especially young people, I think get, fall into this thinking that, taking the supplements, the protein powders, all of these things are actually better than eating the food itself. And I think we just need to keep encouraging people that no, that's not the case. And these supplements aren't like magical answers to all of these cure-alls that I think people think they are.
Then it gets a COA stamp. So there are some brands out there that have that stamp. You just want to try to look for it, or look for supplements even that have any sort of clinical trials that have tested the supplement to support its efficacy. There are some multivitamin brands that I'm thinking of actually right now that have done their own clinical trials to support the efficacy of that supplement. So just kind of be mindful of that. Talk before you take a supplement with your healthcare professional. And most importantly, we are not supposed to just rely solely on supplements. We want to get this from food, from our plant-based foods, from fruits and vegetables. And we thought it would be perfect today to kind of go through.
Right. Plants and fruits and vegetables. And those were all the things that Foodie just had kind of missing and lacking on her plate. So now they're going to go over some things that are ideas. So I'm interested. We'll listen to this for a little bit, and then I'll let you guys enjoy your day. I just appreciate you all being here and listening to this interesting information with me.
And talk a little bit about which foods are high in which vitamins, so that you are getting essentially your multivitamin through the rainbow, through eating the rainbow. And I'll kind of go through and give you some examples.
I've heard both on magnesium. Some that it's like a miracle. I've heard some doctor radio show recently where they were just raving about it as a supplement to add, and others, that maybe through the food sources. So that's interesting. I'd be curious to know what Eloise thinks about that one, because I've heard both ways.
I want to reintroduce us. I'm Dr. Behar. This is the Women's Health Show, and I'm here with Shuk Mansour, and we're talking about vitamins and minerals and where to get them in particular foods. So give us a call if you have questions. I know it's a popular topic. Everyone's always asking us about vitamins. If you have questions about vitamins and foods and how to best get them, give us a call at 877-698-3627 or 877-NYU-DOCS, DOCS. I just want to emphasize a couple of things that you said.
I think Skittles have been banned in Europe. I think it's got that red 8 or red 7 or whatever the red is that you're not supposed to have. Yeah, the Skittles aren't part of the rainbow that we're referring to. They're not rainbow carrots.
When I was in medical school actually in college, and I took biochemistry,
right.
My biochemistry professor had a real particular interest in nutrition. And for our lab section of
that's kind of what I thought and felt about magnesium too. Magnesium, this is what our pharmacist Eloise says. Magnesium is no miracle, but many can be deficient. Yes. So increased foods or a low supplement may help. But again, you would want to probably get your lab just to know, because you don't want to overdo it too, because then the kidneys, which have to excrete the magnesium, you're going to put more work onto your kidneys. And so, people don't seem to realize when people are always like, oh, I'll just pee it out or whatever. But that your kidney is having to do more work. So, I mean, it's, we used to always kind of say about in the healthcare where people come in with a lot of supplements and so forth. Oh my goodness, very expensive urine. So, especially when you're young, I mean, you should be getting a good diet. So let's get these ladies to talk about the foods. That's where we need to get them to.
Biochemistry for the entire semester, what we did is we brought in a typical meal that we ate. We degraded the meal and calculated the nutrient contents of our meal.
So cool.
He was so involved with nutrition that he said, let's learn what we're eating. and we evaluated it for vitamins and minerals and protein and calories. So it's very interesting. It's funny that you say this. And the other thing I always say that my mother said is, my mother used to say, I've said this before, a colorful plate is a healthy plate.
Yes.
So it reminded me when you said the rainbow,
Yes.
that's sort of what she was alluding to.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
and my
that's-
last point is, we also learned in medical school, if you eat from every food group over the course of the week, you're getting everything you need. So it doesn't
Exactly.
have to be with every single meal or even every single day, but
Right.
over the course of the week, if you're eating a well-balanced diet, you're generally getting everything you need, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So the dietary guidelines for Americans highlights that Americans should be having 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And I can't tell you.
5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. It doesn't sound like a lot, you know? And for many of us, we probably do it pretty, pretty fast by lunch. But for many, that's a struggle because they choose, they could be in an area where there's food deserts, lack of food education. That's why it's so important to really try to encourage good. That's why I'm excited to do this panel coming up with Cheekbone, because we are going to be going over good, simple, easy nutrition ideas, because she really wants to impart this information and I love giving her a platform to be able to do so.
How many people are not meeting that? So I really do try to make it an effort to talk about this during appointments with whoever I'm seeing. I do a diet recall on them and see what they're eating. And the first thing I do is I try to see, are they eating 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day? And often.
Now, just to give you a heads up, the lady speaking who said she reviews the plate, she does specialize in patients who are managing diabetes. So she is coming from this, from the perspective of somebody who does help, obviously, with diets in this way.
We're not. So if you're just like, oh, should I take a multivitamin? Do I need to? Is that necessary? You really don't. If you're hitting that 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day, it's assuring that you're getting an allotment of various different vitamins and minerals. Unless you have a specific vitamin deficiency, then you need to take a supplement to replete your stores, possibly. It depends on your level, or you just need to focus on specific foods. It kind of depends on your level and what's going on and, what your healthcare professional advised you to do.
And how big is a serving of a fruit or a vegetable? I mean, it's obviously different, but approximately, like maybe for berries and then, and then for solid fruits like apples, bananas, peaches, what's a serving?
I usually will tell people like 1 piece. I'll call that a serving, like a medium-sized apple or a medium banana. With vegetables, I would say 1/2 cup cooked or 1 cup raw would be considered 1 serving.
Hey, Miss Cheekbones. Miss Cheekbones says, and Eloise, this was interesting about 30 different, we didn't even see 30 different plant foods in Chantel's grocery haul. She had like 30 pounds of cucumber. Cheekbone says, gotta get my walking before the rain sets. Well, we're going to be catching up with you so soon. And we're going to keep on with this conversation. We're just going to finish a little bit of this out. And that 30 is good to know. That's a good rule of thumb. But you get your walking. I know you've started walking more now. I love it. You get that walking before the rain. Junebug and I have got it planned. It's beautiful outside. We can't wait. We're going to go to the woods and play.
Serving. So I'll usually say, can we try to eat 2 pieces of fruit a day and then 3 servings of vegetables? Can you try to do that every day?
It's tough. It's
tough.
Really, I mean, it's tough for some people because,
it really is.
Unfortunately, people skip meals often.
Yes.
A lot of patients skip meals, which is in and of itself not a healthy thing to do. We can talk about that.
Right.
We have a caller.
Sure.
I'm interested.
So we're going to kind of wrap the, I think there's a caller. We'll listen to see if the caller has, but that's so interesting because we know our girl Foodie Beauty, she skips a lot of meals throughout the day. And all I'm thinking about is I'm so excited because I have these beautiful honey mangoes and blueberries that I'm going to be doing for dessert tonight. So I'm excited to get into the colors of the rainbow in my house at the moment. But I thought that 30 plant-based foods a week to give us a good gut biome, that's really good advice, because I think so many people struggle with digestive issues, and I wonder how much is due to a lack of variety in the diet, and then over time causing, digestive effects at the end of the day. I'm always curious, because if you're not getting maybe that full balance of a good, healthy gut, then maybe over time it could cause gut issues. The gastric, they always say it's the second brain, so it's so important to keep it healthy. But you would think it's so easy to get in 2 pieces of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables a day. You could put 1 at each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it is often a struggle, and if you're skipping a meal, it becomes harder.
To take this call from Amy in Georgia. Good morning, Amy. How can we help you?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. I had a question. You mentioned eating the rainbow, and you may be getting into this when you talk about the specific vegetables, but I was curious if the same vegetable in different colors had different nutritional value, meaning like the purple carrots versus the orange carrots, the yellow green beans versus the purple green beans. Do you mind talking about that?
That's a great question.
Yes, absolutely. So each color contains specific different antioxidants and various different compounds that do different things in the body.
That's interesting. I had a friend of mine many years ago. He did he studied as a physician from King's College. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Oh, he was the perfect person to become a doctor. I didn't even realize he was that smart when I was like hanging out with him, at sixth form college. I had another friend who went to Cambridge to study for hers. But yeah, this is a very interesting thing about the. So I got to sway. I got a little sidetracked at the King's College. It's a very good medical school in the UK. All right, keep going. Just to hear about the different vegetables and stuff, because I think there is something about the purple veggies and things.
That's why we really do say eat the rainbow, because you have your tomatoes with the red color supplying lycopene, which is this antioxidant. You have other antioxidants present in purple berries and acai berries, for example, which do different things. So yes, absolutely. The more colors you can get, the more diverse intake of antioxidants that you are getting in your diet. So if you can to try to diversify your intake, absolutely. So eating different colored squash, leafy greens, purple berries, colorful peppers, they're all going to be supplying various different antioxidants and vitamins and minerals that kind of will work to support your body and your health. Absolutely. Yes.
And a fresh bunch of carrots at the supermarket really isn't that expensive. I mean, you don't need to buy organic, but I know that carrots still with the stalks, you can get a bunch for 99 cents a pound still. You can still get those sort of things, relatively inexpensively in a lot of, metro areas here in the US. I'm always, would recommend that frozen at the pinch. If you're stuck with tinned, just make sure, even if it says low salt, just rinse that underneath the tap. So, I mean, if you're down to tinned because that's what you're accessing, just rinse those veggies under the tap. Just get some of those extra salts off. Don't cook them in the tinned water. When I used to cook the tinned veggies, I used to just I didn't know any different. I just, dumped the tin straight onto the, saucepan. But now I've learned over time that the best thing to do is just rinse those tin veggies off, get all the, preservative salts off of it. And then if you've got a microwave, probably better to do it that way. So you're not boiling a bit more. So you're keeping a little bit more of the nutrients in. But I mean, that would be, so you could always do, there's no, if that's kind of what you're kind of able to afford or what you have access to. That's why I'm interested in getting cheekbones, because it doesn't need to have everything like that fresh, and then people feeling that then they're not going to be able to access it. Because if you're being able to access a honey bun at the Dollar Tree, you're probably able to access a can of mixed greens or mixed veg. And it's half decent, it will do you.
Let's be clear. When we talk about a rainbow or a colorful plate, we don't mean Cheetos and
Yes.
Red Hots.
Yes.
They're very
talking.
colorful, but they're
Right.
not, they don't count.
Right.
So I think
Right.
it's obvious, but I just want to make that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am Dr. Behar here with Shuk Mansour, our dietitian, and we're talking about nutrients in foods. There must be lots of questions about vitamins and minerals. I know everybody's always asking us. So give us a call at 877-698-3627. We love getting calls. They're always actually more interesting often than we are on our own. So 877-698-3627. And let's go to Myrna in Illinois. Good morning, Myrna. How can we help you?
Yes, I have a question about vitamin K2. I have osteoporosis, and I'm on Fosamax, and I've read that I'm on calcium and vitamin D, and I've read it helps direct the calcium to the bones instead of the arteries.
Okay, so we were talking about calcium earlier, so we're just going to let this question finish out, and then we're going to finish up with this live stream for the day. But just to hear that, because we were talking about that earlier. So I'm curious just to hear what the doctor and the nutritionist have to say.
So I'll answer medically. I mean, generally, we recommend for women with osteoporosis vitamin D and calcium. We don't generally, as a rule, recommend taking extra vitamin K. Mm-hmm. You can sometimes have problems with vitamin K and blood clotting. So we generally don't have patients take supplemental vitamin K. You're usually getting enough in foods. And Shuk can talk about where you get vitamin K in foods. The flip side of this is that, as Shuk alluded to in the beginning, one, the vitamin industry is not regulated. We say this often on this show. So when you get supplements, they really are unregulated. You don't know what you're getting. Often, is it pure? Are there other ingredients? How much are you actually getting? What is the source of it?
That's right.
So that's why we wanted to talk about how to get the nutrients from food. It's always healthier for you to get whatever you need from food. So, for example, if you have osteoporosis, we usually recommend 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day. And I tell my patients as an internist, the best way to get calcium is through eating dairy.
So I don't want to interrupt this because I want them to finish this important point. But yes, Eloise, I used to help manage a Coumadin clinic for a hematologist oncologist. Yeah. So yeah, definitely anybody who's been prescribed Coumadin, hopefully it's getting less and less, but the vitamin K has to be like the same amount every day, and you're still doing your PT-INRs and everything else and trying to get to your goal. But yeah, it's always interesting with those Coumadin patients. More to my life. My least favorite drug to manage.
4 dairy servings gives you approximately 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day. And that's a lot to ask for. I mean, most people don't have 4 dairy servings, but if you have a yogurt and if you have 1 glass of, in particular, skim milk, that's 2 dairy servings a day. That's a great way to get calcium and some vitamin D.
Absolutely.
And then the vitamin D that we recommend, really, I check a vitamin D level on everybody, usually once a year. But the vitamin D dose that we recommend depends on where your vitamin D level is. So calcium, we don't tell you to take it based on the calcium in your blood. Calcium is well regulated by hormones in your body, by your kidneys and by your your parathyroid glands. It's well regulated. So patients almost always have a normal calcium level. If the calcium's too high or too low, there's usually a medical issue. It's not usually a dietary issue. Generally, unless your protein level is too low, calcium can drop if your protein level drops. But calcium, we just recommend a standard dose. Vitamin D, we recommend based on your vitamin D level. And technically, a normal vitamin D level, we believe, is greater than 30. We'll talk a little bit more about vitamin D later. We don't want you to take too much vitamin D. So I usually like patients to aim for a vitamin D level around 50-ish, something like that. And if your vitamin D level is between 20 and 30, I usually recommend 1,000 units of vitamin D3 every day. If you're between 10 and 20, I usually recommend 2,000 units of D3 a day. And if you're below 10, if your vitamin D level on the blood is below 10, I usually will give a prescription for high dose vitamin D or 50,000 units once a week. There is weekly vitamin D. So the vitamin D level will determine your dose. So there's not one standard.
Mine was so low when I was a night nurse, I had to give the 50,000 once a week. That's why it's important to have it checked, because I'm thinking I'm out there running, whatever. Nope. Working a night nurse absolutely was dreadful. So it's good to get your levels drawn. Okay, I'm going to finish them out, and then we're going to finish
amount. Some people will just say if you take 1,000 or 2,000 units of vitamin D daily, you don't even have to check the level. It's enough. You'll get it up to normal. I do like to check it because I just want to make sure patients aren't going too high. Mm-hmm. It is a fat-soluble vitamin. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are not water soluble, so you can't excrete the excess in urine. Ooh. And you can actually overdose on any of those four. So yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting too. That's why you don't want to overdo it. It's not fast. Oh gosh, fascinating.
So vitamin K, I would be careful with that. Shuk, what do you tell patients about vitamin K?
No, I wouldn't necessarily take it just because it can impact blood clotting. It can interact with other medications. So yes, I agree with Dr. Behar. What we recommend for osteoporosis is 1,200 milligrams of calcium with the vitamin D. And in addition to getting the calcium from dairy sources, I always like to touch on this because I feel like there's a lot of hate to the dairy industry, and actually a lot of people refuse to eat dairy. So even if you are drinking things like almond milk or soy milk or those alternative nut milks, they are fortified with the calcium as well. So you are still getting that. You can also get calcium from tofu. It can be fortified in orange juice. You can also get it in dark leafy greens like bok choy and kale. So you can, depending on, your diet, if you're plant-based, you can still get the calcium from dietary sources. Hopefully that kind of answered your question.
Sardines also with the bones, right?
With the bones.
With the bones.
Exactly.
You need to have the bones.
Yes.
I mean, some people do. I don't know what a lot of people that eat sardines, but Dr. Costa's a big sardine eater, actually. She keeps cans of sardines in her office.
Great.
I'm spilling the beans. But she does eat sardines with bones. And my father used to eat sardines. Yeah. It's really funny.
They're really good for you, actually, if you can eat them.
Yes, they are healthy for you. Maybe we should try them.
They're also high in omega-3.
Yeah.
So speaking of omega-3, if you're trying to get more omega-3 in your diet for your heart health, sardines are great. Albacore tuna, Pacific mackerel, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and salmon, obviously.
For omega-3?
For omega-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Lucy in Pennsylvania.
All right, guys. I know we could listen to these guys all day, probably. I know, on the sardines. I remember when I was at school in England, they used to always have the, I think it was the boned tinned mackerel in the tomato sauce. As Jennifer Lopez would say, if you know, you know. But if you're from the UK, you probably know those with the little tinned potatoes, the white potatoes they used to serve with those at the school dinner. Yes. Ugh, I know, Calicat. They were horrible. The tomatoed mackerels. God, when I used to see that on the school dinner plate with the salad, I was like, ugh, I'm not going to be eating much for lunch today because the mackerel's out. The tomato sauced mackerel is out. Anything I used to ever look forward to was pudding and custard. That was it. Rhubarb, custard, and pudding. Any of the puddings and custards, the sardines on toast is again. Wow! I never could take that. Never, never. That was always probably some of the roughest of the school dinners that I remember. Oh, and corned beef too. And just none of that tinned meat. I just, God, no wonder I'm primarily plant-based nowadays. They tortured me as a child in England with those meals. Oh, liver. Oh, God, the liver days were even worse. Oh, liver and onion. Oh, yes, pink custard. I know. Gosh, yes, they had pink custard. Yes, the pink custard. Oh, I tell you, I was a fan of like any like sticky pudding and custard. Just pudding, just pudding custard. That just, sticky pot, give me 3 helpings of the of the school dessert. The smell triggers you now from the pink custard. I'm always curious. The sticky, yes, sticky pudding. Oh gosh, I didn't even care. Spotted dick, give me spotted dick, give me custard, just all of it. Oh, bread. If they had bread pudding and custard, oh gosh, that was just heaven. Oh, I went to a school in Scotland where every day the puddings were just to die for, and you had to eat the food to get to the pudding. So I had to eat some ghastly meals to get to my pudding. And I'm surprised I've not, obviously it's a plant-based person now. I tend to eat fruit as a pudding now. That's more how I've kind of done the dietary swaps. But oh my goodness. That's like what I get is like a Christmas vegan treat, is like any type of like any of the vegan custard powders that they send over to me, or the powder, and then I can add like the milk, I try to get like, there is a vegan place here that does do like a rhubarb crumble and different types of crumbles and stuff. OMG. I am a friend of a fruit crumble. I cannot. Anyway, I'm starting to sound like Foodie because obviously I'm getting hungry and needing to get my lunch going here. But I know that Junebug over here is playing with a toy and she really wants me to go out and get some steps. And we need to start sharing those step journeys with everybody again. But anyway, I so appreciate everybody here. If you did have a chance to the stream, I appreciate it. I always want to say thank you to all my moderators who were helping me today. We had Miss Angel of Glass came in, helped us out. Miss Pat Ray was here. I know Miss Brooke A came on in. If I'm hoping I'm going to get everybody, all my mods. I know Rosebud was here at one point. I know, like I said, we had Brooke A come in. All of the mods came in. Thank you guys so much. If you have not had a chance to check out Miss Eloise's channel, go check that out. Go take a look at her video that she has. I'm going to check that out absolutely today. And I am going to be planning for trying to figure out what to do as a interesting topic for tomorrow if you guys want to join us. Kind of like this time of the day because I can get to folks in Europe. And so just you guys all let me know. Yeah, and we're going to post up that Q&A for the cheekbones panel. So I'm going to post the question. Thank you, Pat, this afternoon. I'm probably going to go get Junebug out real fast because she's been so patient. She hasn't been out for a while. So I need to take care of this very patient and sweet dog real fast. And then I'm going to come back and post up that question. And then we'll plan for that panel with her. I know Eloise and I are working on something. And I'm just going to keep listening to the doctor's radio. I'm going to try to find either there's stuff talking about the vitamin D in here, which could be interesting to tag on to one of our girls. And I'm going to try to see if I can find the thing about the sodium too, because that was a really fascinating one. But I'm going to try to probably go live tomorrow evening, just because, as I said, I got a lot in my day. So I'm going to need to get back from the dentist and home and ready to do all that stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for all your time. It's been an absolutely fun live stream. As Angel Glass says, so please don't forget to hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel, and it helps me get up the YouTube algorithm, which I absolutely love, because I need to get them back in my favor, because I was kind of sick last week and I didn't come out as much. So YouTube is being a hard taskmaster on me now. So yeah, don't forget to hit the likes. Just really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of great stuff. 30 different plant-based. That's a goal for me, Eloise. I love it. All right, I'm going to check your email too. So just give me a chance to do that today. So anyway, like I said, if you like this stuff, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the next one.